All right, Fox News alert. The U.S. and U.K. combining to use jets, warships, and submarines to strike at least 60 targets at 16 different Houthi military sites in Yemen. This happened overnight. They also hit air defense systems, weapon facilities, and launch sites.
Jacqui Heinrich is live from the White House with the very latest. Jacqui, we still haven't seen or heard the president talk about this, but they have put out some paper statements.
That's right. We got a statement from the president last night, guys. He said that this was a direct response to at least 27 Houthi attacks on commercial shipping that have affected 50 nations, with crews from more than 20 countries having been taken hostage or threatened in acts of piracy. But the last straw was really earlier this week, the 9th, when the Houthis launched their most complex attack directed at U.S. ships to date, laughing off the final warning that the U.S. and its allies issued just earlier this month. Biden said in a statement last night, quote, "Today's defensive action follows extensive diplomatic campaign and Houthi rebels escalating attacks against commercial vessels. I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and the free flow of international commerce as necessary." Now, the U.S. and U.K. coalition forces did strike more than 60 targets, at 16 Houthi locations. Radar systems included, defense systems as well, and missile storage and launch sites. Australia, Canada, the Netherlands, and Bahrain also lent support, and the Houthis have claimed that 5 died and 6 were injured. Republicans have welcomed this response, including Speaker Mike Johnson, who tweeted, "This action by U.S. and British forces is long overdue, and we must hope these operations indicate a true shift in the Biden administration's approach to Iran and its proxies." But Democrats, like Congressman Ro Khanna, said the president needs to come to Congress before launching a strike against the Houthis in Yemen and involving us in another Middle East conflict. That is Article 1 of the Constitution. I will stand up for that regardless of whether a Democrat or Republican is in the White House. But remember, this is the same Iranian-backed militant group that the Biden administration removed from the list of foreign terrorist organizations soon after he took office. That was part of an effort to maintain a truce at the time. There was a civil war happening in Yemen. Lloyd Austin did oversee this operation, we're told, from the hospital where he is still a patient at Walter Reed. The president asked for options on Tuesday after the Houthis launched their biggest response to date, was given some options by his national security team. From what we can tell from the statements we've received so far, Lloyd Austin monitored this as it was happening. CENTCOM appears to have been sort of holding the reins there, and the president signed off on it on Tuesday. But interesting, guys, that there were some tweets ahead of time coming out of the UK that seemed to report this before it happened. And that's very unusual. We don't ever see the U.S. sort of announcing what it's going to do. You hear a lot about not wanting to telegraph punches, but news of it slipped out from some UK reporting. So that
just to be clear, Jacqui, you said news slipped out before the attack or that we did attack? Before the attacks. There were some reporters in London saying strikes to happen soon. We're hearing about it, and it's going to be happening shortly. And not too long later, it happened. So we're still, waiting to see any statements from the U.S. in terms of the impact, in terms of casualties. But that's unusual. You don't hear the U.S. ever, and that's not what happened this time either. We should know. This came from UK reporters, but that was a little bit out of the ordinary.
Right. It was one of our coalition partners. There was some leakage. It's like that slogan from back in World War II, loose lips sink ships. Unfortunately, we knew about it early. Going back to something you were just talking about, how a number of progressive members of Congress are upset because the president didn't go to Congress to ask for authorization. Also, there are a handful of Republicans as well. In something like this, where they're going to engage the U.S. military, doesn't the White House or the Pentagon, don't they call at least the very tippy-top leaders in Congress?
Well, I couldn't tell you with any certainty because I'm obviously not one of the people in the room. Whenever the president takes any action, he always notifies Congress afterward in a statement citing, whatever authority it happened under. There may be in this scenario some authority that he's citing that allowed that action to happen prior to notifications. But also, I haven't heard any criticism of this from those top leaders in Congress. Congress. I know, Mike Johnson and Mitch McConnell would be on that list, and they both issued statements yesterday saying that this was welcome. I also saw some armed services Republicans who I believe would also be part of that notification, issuing statements of approval as well.
Right.
So without knowing the full detail on what communications came from where, that I assume will come today, because a lot of this happened overnight. We'll get more detail on exactly who was told and when.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jacqui.
That's quite a detail about the UK leaking.
So the Houthi rebels came out. Not only are they not cowed, they promised unimaginable revenge for the attacks. And on some level, according to some experts, they love this. This is their great moment because they now engaged with the great world power, their arch enemy. They are not popular in the region. Iran is not popular in the region. The Houthi rebels really not popular in the region. But when you attack U.S. and when you attack Israel, you gain popularity. And the question is, how good was our surveillance and intelligence? I'll ask General Keane that in 12 minutes. How good was our intelligence and surveillance? How clear were our shots? And did we give them warning to clear out personnel like we did in Syria just to send a message?
If you look at that,
go ahead.
Sorry, Lawrence. If you look at that map right there, that's Yemen. And you think Houthi rebels, you always think Yemen. And you can see to the left the Red Sea, which is where these ships are. The orange or the reddish area, that's occupied by the Houthis. They control the country's northwest and the capital, which is Sana'a. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Their ideology is opposition to Israel and opposition to the U.S. Do you have that statement that you read earlier? That's pretty scary. While you find that, Lawrence, why are they attacking the ships in the Red Sea? They said after the attack on October 7th in Israel, the Houthis declared support for Hamas and said that they would target any ship traveling to or from Israel because they're standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people.
Ainsley, you were talking about their slogan that they adopted in 2003. This is what the slogan is. God is great. Death to the U.S., death to Israel, curse the Jews, and victory for Islam. So that just tells you where they stand on this. To Brian's point earlier, did we give them notice? I think it's a valid point because you got 60 targets, right? You had 16 locations, but you only had 5 people that were killed there. So it would beg the question, with all that effort there, and you were only able to kill 5 people in it, did you give them some sort of notice? And to one of my special ops friends texted me, goes, LJ, you can poke the wasp nest and you'll just get stung. You got to destroy the entire nest if you want to be effective. And I think that is the real question. Does the Biden administration really just want to poke it, or do they want to destroy this cell of terrorism?
Right. Well, I understand from somebody higher up that apparently a lot of these harassing events that they've been taking place out on the Red Sea with the Houthis involve drones. And a number of the primary targets where they keep the drones, where they launch the drones and stuff like that.
Why did Biden strip them of their terrorist organization status?
Because he tried to kiss up to Iran in order to re-engage the talks. And also he wanted Saudi Arabia to be the enemy of his administration. That blew up in his face with humiliation.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.